What is up? This is Friday Night Live. My name is Gary, and we are doing a special tasting featuring 6 different beers from one of my favorite breweries, Segundo Brewing Company. So we're back to Friday nights. Thanks so much for joining in, all you Friday night drinkers. Very excited to dig into these beers. Segundo has been putting out some really great stuff lately, leading up to their 10-year anniversary, going down in May, I believe. So there's a series of releases that they're calling their postcard series that is kind of leading up to this special triple IPA anniversary release. And we're going to taste some of those alongside some of the special stuff they've been putting out along the way. So, before that triple release comes out, or that triple IPA comes out, their next postcard series comes out in a couple weeks. They have a big collab release with Pizza Port coming out next week. So El Segundo's not slowing down. They've been putting out a ton of new beers out so far in 2021. And we're going to go through a bunch of them that have come out in the last couple months. Or the last month or so, actually. So comment in, let me know, what are you drinking? It is Friday, it is 7 p.m. It is time to crack one open. And drop a comment, let me know. I can't do this alone. I can't drink all these beers by myself. So if you have a beer from El Segundo, be sure and grab that. But if not, any beer will do. This is all going to be IPAs. So I've mentioned this a couple times before. All IPA tastings destroy my palate. They're so very difficult for me. So crossing my fingers and hoping I can get through this. Without further ado, I'm excited to crack into the first beer of this tasting. It is a very special one. This is Double Dry Hop Citra from El Segundo. They put this out, I think, a couple weeks ago. So canned on March 30th. And this beer label and the name may sound very familiar to you. This is one of El Segundo's flagship, one of the early beers that they put out. It's a pale ale that's primarily hopped with Citra, and this is a special dry hopped variant of it with just more Citra, I believe. So, basically that's what we're going on here. It's a straightforward American pale ale with just a touch of Vienna malt and in an irresponsible amount of dry hopping with the aforementioned hop. So let's do this. Comment in, let me know if you've had this one. If you've had the regular Citra or if you've had this double dry hop version of it. Very excited to drink it. I haven't tried this. All right. And Citra, as you can see, pours a very bright, crystal clear, kind of a pale gold here, like a nice light gold. Very nice looking beer. Frothy white head and a very nice aromatic nose. You got that kind of like orange, a little bit of lemon and grapefruit as well. Hold on, I got a sneeze coming on here. I think it's so aromatic, it's getting to me. All right, maybe I don't. The power of the hops overcame the sneeze that was coming up in my nose and destroyed it. That's how powerful this dry hopping is on this beer. So I imagine this is just a much more aromatic nose than their traditional Citra Pale Ale. And it smells really nice. Yeah, a touch of sweetness, kind of like orange candy almost. And like the full fruit of the orange, you're getting a little bit of peel and pith, mostly in a juicy fruit. It's light, it's bright, leans slightly tropical. You're getting kind of slight pineapple on it too. A little bit of like berry fruit as well. Yeah, very nice nose. Citra, such a versatile hop. Incredible hop. Does so many different things, from aromatics to bittering, from hazies to West Coast to all different types of styles of beer. Citra just is so versatile. So good. All right, let's try it. Really nice. Really nice. So from that dry hop, you're getting characteristics of a Citra IPA. but when you actually drink it, it's pretty mellow on the body, pretty mellow on the flavor profile. It's sitting at 5.5%, so you get that pale ale that's really kind of like new school West Coast pale ale. You see how light this beer is? It drinks that light as well. It's a very light and bright beer. That's a really great beer to start off a session because it's not overly bitter. There's a touch of that bitterness, it's a West Coast style pale. But it's really subdued and the body's just nice and light, not a lot of sweetness. And the hop presence is really well balanced. They double dry hop this, and that's mainly coming through in the aroma and as you're drinking the beer and kind of getting the aromas coming in at the same time that you're sipping it. Creates a really nice experience, but overall that hop presence is just like right where it needs to be, not over the top. Really nicely well balanced for a beer of this size. What's up, LB Brew Dude? What's up, Ernie Gunn, Rob Ray, Tony Gov? Good to see you guys. Glad to be back on a Friday night here. I was Sunday evening last week. B. Einhorn, what's going on? So let me know what you're drinking. LB Brew Dude, what's in the can today? Yeah, really nice beer from El Segundo here. It doesn't taste like an El Segundo beer just because it is so dialed down in the aggressiveness. I kind of feel like a lot of El Segundo beers are just really full flavored in your face. This one is just balanced, subdued, really chill. And it's a great one to start off the session. Mama Mignoni, Oscar's watching and asks, where's Blue? Blue's inside. He's staring at me right here. What's up, Blue? LB Brew Dude's drinking Vienna Lager from Epic. Nice. I still haven't had a beer from Epic. I really, really want to try their beers. What's up, Abner? How's it going, man? So again, just wrapping up tasting number 1. This is Double Dry Hop Citra from El Segundo. I imagine that this beer is still available. I know it is kind of like a special limited release, but I imagine you can still find it at certain bottle shops around town and probably at the brewery for a little bit longer. But I wouldn't wait. If you're into pale ale, hoppy pale ales, if you're into anything from El Segundo, if you like the original Citra pale ale, I would definitely check out this double dry hop version. I wish I had the regular one next to me side by side. It'd be cool to kind of taste them side by side and see how the experience differs. And actually, news that I read today is that El Segundo is retiring their stubby bottles. So for those of you OG El Segundo people, they were doing the glass stubby bottles, the little short stocky ones for Citra and Hammerland, I believe. And they just did their final run of those. So I believe we're going to see regular Citra coming out in can format at some point. Maybe a 12 ounce, maybe a 16. I don't know exactly what the plan is, but I would expect them to be putting that into cans in the very, very near future. So double dry hop Citra, good stuff here. Great start to the tasting. Great start. Now the stubbies are cool, a little throwback, but I imagine they're pretty hard to sell through, just like the format and where they have to be placed in a lot of coolers. Cans where it's at, unfortunately, fortunately, whatever your perspective is on it, but we're in the can game now. So yeah, moving on, beer number 2. This is a hazy from El Segundo. This is from their Takeoff series. It's called Danny Says No. This is a hazy pale ale, 5.2%, hopped with Amarillo, Strata, El Dorado, Simcoe, and Vic Secret. Bunch of hops in this. Let's see how that plays out. I'm gonna get that kind of hop cocktail, that kind of just really fruity ambiguousness. Not saying it's as bad at all, but sometimes it's very, when you have a lot of those hops in there, it's hard to pick out certain things, and it's just hey, this is tropical fruit, delish, but I can't really dissect it too much. So let's see. LB Brew Dude says Modern Times just announced they're retiring Blazing Worlds. I haven't had that beer in a long time. That's too bad. I know that probably a lot of people like that beer. Sir Winston says the stubbies add to the drinking experience. Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, if you're pouring your beers into a can or into a glass most of the time, I assume that you're not really taking advantage of that experience. But you know, to each his own. Shark Homebrewing. I know a few people in the UK that would love to have El Segundo's beers. Yeah, El Segundo does it really, really well. Really unique brewery. B. Einhorn watching that Dodgers Pods. Nice. Awesome. You know, if you have to pay more attention to that, I get it. You can catch the replay. But if you're drinking beer, hang along with me and let's drink some beer together. So we're going to crack open Danny Says No, Hazy Pale Ale from El Segundo Brewery's Takeoff Series. The Takeoff Series was born mid last year as a home, as a vessel for El Segundo's kind of more experimental, kind of one-off, single batch beers that, you know, used to go up in the tap room when that was open, and they had to find a way to keep doing that kind of stuff after the pandemic shut all that kind of stuff down. So the Takeoff Series became a way for them to play around with new ideas and frankly some styles that they're not typically known for. We saw some really interesting stuff coming out last year, and so, you know, this is one of two, or I guess one of three, maybe three hazy beers El Segundo's put out just in 2021 alone. So times, they are a-changing. El Segundo brewing hazies on a regular basis. Who would have thought we'd ever see the day? Let's see how this hazy pale comes through. Patis Nalga says, I am solely a beer bottle drinker, never had a problem, but lately I've had problems with bad canning. Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about this a couple weeks ago. And our friends at Boom Hut, who run one of the mobile canning operations that's really kind of doing a lot of the canning here in Southern California, chimed in with kind of their thoughts on it. But yeah, I mean, packaging is a thing, and packaging issues are, you know, packaging just becomes a way for things that you don't want in beer being introduced into the system. LB Brew Dude watching Angels Twins, but love for LA and OC teams for sure. B. Einhorn having some Kings Brewing LA water. Nice. Haven't had Kings in a while. I don't know what LA water is. Probably an IPA, I would assume. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a lager. Anyways, let's finally get into this beer. Danny Says No, Hazy Pale Ale. Kicking the tasting off with two pale ales. I dig it. I'm going to need some of this longevity to get through all 6 of these beers tonight. So we have a beer that pours most definitely hazy. Nice kind of bright yellow, pale orange glow on it. Got a nice bright white head. Tiny white bubbles. Really kind of coating the top of this glass. Got an active carbonation here. I like what I'm seeing in the beer. You probably can't see what I'm seeing just because of the lighting, but you have kind of like, you know, the murk really sits right in the middle of this, but on the edges you can see a lightness happening on the very end, indicating to me that it's not going to come through in like a really full and big body. And it shouldn't, because it is a pale ale, but what is it, 5.2%? Let's see what it smells like. Interesting nose. It's really not coming through like a typical hazy with like that tropical fruit. Interesting. I'm trying to see what I'm getting on this. I am not getting anything really desirable, and I'm not getting anything really undesirable. It's like really kind of muted. There's a grainy sweetness on the nose, very faint, but yeah, you're not getting like getting fruitiness that you typically do on a hazy beer. So I'm wondering, what is the deal with this beer? Let's see what's up. Yeah, this doesn't seem right. Yeah, this doesn't really, I mean, this is really light. So LB Brew Dude asks, is it more like a hazy West Coast beer a la Cellar Maker? No, it's not. It doesn't have any of that West Coast side the only thing that characteristic wise that this beer has, being a hazy, is what it looks like. The nose is not there, the flavor's not there, the body's not there. It is a really light and watery body. Yeah, not getting much on the flavor or aroma. There's something in the back. You're getting kind of like a touch of that, like, let's say Orange Julius, but completely watered down. The very bottom of the cup, where like maybe ice has melted and it's like you're barely getting any of that like Orange Julius flavor. I'm getting a touch of that in the very, very back end of this beer. I do not imagine that this is what the brewers intended. I haven't had a beer like this, and I'm not sure this is totally right. I don't know. Maybe I should have had this beer before the double dry hop Citra. I don't know. But this is like a really kind of like watery, light beer that is lacking any type of significant aroma and flavor. This is a 5.2% hazy pale ale hopped with Amarillo, Strata, El Dorado, Simcoe, and Vic Secret. Yeah. I don't know. I'm about to move on from this beer because I just don't think that this is really drinking the way it's supposed to. This is, see, Patsis Nalga says, see, it's probably a bad can. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't think so. I wouldn't think so from El Segundo, honestly. I think that maybe I'm just, like I say this a lot, that sometimes you drink a beer and it follows a beer that you previously had, or it's a time of day or whatever the case may be, and you experience it in a certain way that just sometimes it doesn't hit you in the way that that you really like. And who knows? Maybe this is a bad can. Who knows? But I do have more cans of this in the fridge, and I am going to do a follow up at another time just to see what this beer's like on maybe like a different scale when I'm not on Instagram Live, when I'm not doing a tasting of 6 different beers. That would be interesting. But for this specific can, for this specific tasting, I'm not feeling this beer. Very light, very watery. Yeah, just flavor and aroma just isn't where I typically, even for a 5.2% hazy pale ale, think it should be. But some people might like this. You could start up a session with a beer like this and get things going. So yeah, let's just see what happens on the next can, and I'll report back to you guys. I'll do it in Instagram stories or something. So Robert Gamer says, what happened to the Fresca Hazy they used to do? I'm pretty sure that's retired. They may bring that back out in the future for fun, but that was like a series of them experimenting with like juicy IPA, like slightly hazy, juicy, that kind of category, fruited IPA, and that I believe that's been retired. All right, so that was Danny Says No. We're moving into a very different beer. We're going West Coast now. And I have had a can of this recently within a couple weeks, and this is a big beer. I feel like I'm going to pour this, and this is going to completely wipe out any remnants of the beer that I just had, making it even more difficult for me to understand what was that beer all about. So this one is one of their annual regular releases. It comes out once a year. This is the 105 IPA. This is the West Coast style IPA. And for those of you who've been following Hop to LA for a while, last year we did a feature video, sit down with Tom Kelly from El Segundo, and we dissected this beer. It's a series that we used to do called The Breakdown, which I am in the process of thinking about restarting that series. It's really cool, where we take one beer from a brewery and just like really dig into the story behind the design, the can, the recipe, how it's evolved over time. And so there's a fun story behind this beer sitting on IGTV, on YouTube, on our website. So this is the 105. This is hopped with, okay, so the thing that makes this beer a little bit unique from the rest of El Segundo's West Coast IPA profile is that this beer is hop bursted. So basically they They use an extreme amount of aroma hops, Amarillo, Mosaic, and Cascade for aroma, flavor, and smooth bitterness. So we are going to try this 7.1% West Coast style IPA, the 105. Yeah, official Andrew Ruiz, what's going on, dude? He says, dude, I love the 105. Yeah, they've been brewing this one for a while. This is like, I think, a fan favorite for them. This is as West Coast as it gets, too. So just a little tribute to the 105 freeway. Basically takes you right into downtown El Segundo. And on the pour, we have a nice kind of bright gold, you know, just like medium level gold here. Bright white head, very aromatic nose. You're getting a little blueberry, you're getting orange for sure, kind of like sweet, juicy orange. Little grapefruit. It's got kind of like it's got like a peach skin type of thing going on the nose. You know, not like sweet peaches, but just like kind of dusty peach skin, if you're gonna use your imagination. LB Brew Dude says Hammerland will always hold a special spot in my craft beer heart. I agree, man. I love Hammerland. I remember when they won the, I think, first place at Bistro Double IPA Fest. It must have been 2015-ish. And going down there and picking up my case of Hammerland, and that was just a super fun day, as everyone was super happy. Yeah, really nice nose. Got a touch of sweetness on this nose that just reminds you, like, there's going to be I think a significant malt backbone to this beer. This is not your new school West Coast IPA. This is firmly, and it's not old school either. It's kind of firmly in like the West Coast IPA category that has a little bit of that malt backbone. All right, let's give it a whirl. Yeah, that just, everything really that I just said plays through on the drinking experience. Really nice citrus components, juicy sweet orange. It does have like that dank blueberry component to it too, which is really cool. I really like that in a West Coast IPA. Solid bitterness, but not over the top. And yeah, just the right amount of malt backbone, malty sweetness, that kind of balances out what you're experiencing on the hop side of things. So really nice beer, super drinkable. 7.1%. So right where you want your West Coast IPA to be. Very nice stuff. Yeah, I like it a lot. Definitely get your hands on the 105. I think this one was kind of a quiet release too. I don't remember them announcing that that 105 was back. And when they sent me some other beer, some of the postcard series, the 105 was included in there. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know this was back. So I think it's a little earlier in the year than they did it last year. But super glad to see it. It's a delicious beer. And if you want to see the story behind this beer, please, after this live is done, or maybe later this weekend, go to our IGTV and go back to last year. It was early last summer where I sat down with Tom Kelly, or like midsummer, and we broke into this beer, and he really digs into the story behind El Segundo and that specific beer. It's really interesting stuff. Mandizzle, what's going on? All right, so we are 3 beers deep. So we're 50% done with this tasting, and we're moving into the back half. So before we get into the postcard series, we are going to go with one more from the Takeoff series. So if you're just joining us, this is beer number 4, and this is a beer from El Segundo's Takeoff series, another one here. This is a hazy IPA called Hard Maybe. 6.9% El Dorado, Denali, and Centennial. And yeah, the Takeoff series is one of El Segundo's way of getting more experimental kind of one-off batches out into the world. And as people are kind of clamoring for more and more hazy IPA, this is their response. So let's crack it open and see what's going on inside this can. I'm very anxious and I'm hoping for something delish. Andrew Ruiz says it's his favorite beer from El Segundo. Nice, man. You know, I'd have a hard time picking my favorite beer from El Segundo. I mean, the one that I chose on my best of 2020 list was Smooth Deep Blues from their Tone series, which I think was planning on returning this year, but that's second half of the year, so we shall see. I also really love El Segundo's Blurred Lines. It's a hazy, it's a hybrid IPA, like part hazy, part West Coast, really ahead of its time when it came out a couple years back, and usually comes out in the beginning of the year. No sign of it so far this year. It's actually, I got to make a note to ask the folks at El Segundo if that beer's coming back, because that is one of my favorites. I think it really stands out in a very crowded marketplace. Blurred Lines, if you haven't had it, keep an eye out. I will let you guys know if it's coming back. So yeah, this is Hard Maybe. Hazy. Got a bright haze to it. Kind of like a really pale orange, like bright yellow. Decent head retention. Let's check out the nose. Okay, so we're getting definitely more aroma on this hazy. But it's not the sweet, creamy, tropical fruit aroma that you typically expect in a hazy, which I dig. This has, it's got a little bit of like grainy malt sweetness, but it's also got like a little bit of pininess to it too, like kind of like fresh spruce, really bright. Lemon and orange, like very... This is a very bright and fresh smelling beer. Not really getting like anything juicy, like, you know, any like juicy type of characteristic on the nose. Yeah, very interesting, and definitely up my alley. I'm interested to see what it's like on the taste. Yaya's asking which current IPA is a must try from El Segundo. Yeah, that's a good question, because they have their flagships that are all readily available, in which LB Brew Dude says Mayberry. I always recommend that beer. That's just like super solid IPA. Can't go wrong with that. And then they have all of this fresh stuff. So everything in this tasting is some of their like newest, more recent releases. And I'm about to jump into the postcard series, so I would keep an eye out for both. I would check out Mayberry. That's going to be in, you know, really most of the Whole Foods. A lot of grocery stores are getting them here in Southern California. Definitely keep an eye on the date code on the cans. You know, you don't want to get anything too old. Fresh Mayberry is like super fucking awesome. So I would consider buying direct from the brewery. That's always a great way to ensure you're getting fresh beer, and then you can get kind of like a variety. Get a couple 4-packs, and maybe get one of these new double IPAs that they're putting out that we're about to get into. So hang on, stay with me for a little bit. I'm gonna get through this hazy, and then we're gonna get into these postcard series beers that are their special kind of like anniversary build up. And my buddy Army of Bruins just joined. Keith, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. All right, El Segundo, Hazy IPA. I mean, maybe this is El Segundo's Hazy IPA. If you're a Hazy IPA connoisseur, you're not going to be into this. It's light. It leans more West Coast. Let me refresh my memory on the hops here. So it's got Centennial in it, which is very much a kind of like Pacific Northwest, West Coast IPA type of hop. They put that in almost all of their beers too. So it's very much like an El Segundo signature hop. Then they have El Dorado, which you do see in a lot of hazies, and Denali, which you also see in hazies. But in terms of mouthfeel, it's light, it's bright, It doesn't have any kind of like creamy, silky body. So I'm not saying I don't like this beer, because I actually do really like this beer, but it doesn't really drink like a typical hazy. Yeah, this is really good, actually. I like this. It's like super bright and fresh, and a lot of those flavor notes or those aromatic notes that I was noting are coming through in the flavor. You're getting like bright citrus on this. You're getting kind of like piney, sprucey component to it too. And it's all wrapped up in like a highly carbonated light body that drinks like really fresh, really bright, and really fast. Like this beer is going down super, super quick. So I actually really like this beer. I don't really like, that they're calling it a hazy, because I think that's a little bit confusing. It just doesn't drink like what I think what people expect a hazy beer to be. But I will not fault El Segundo for that. Maybe that's part of this whole plan. Maybe this is part of the joke, and they're just laughing at us behind the scenes. Who knows? I wouldn't put it past them. Those guys are funny as hell. Let's see. Could you have an Embolden tasting next? Have you tried their beer? Hugo, I have not tried Embolden. I have heard a lot about them. I'm pretty sure that's San Diego. We don't get any cans up here. I would love to try them, but I would have to hunt down the cans, and I'm not doing that right now, just because there's so much going on here that I have multiple episodes of this show in my fridge right now that are just like aging, that I need to get to pretty quick. Official Andrew Ruiz, what's the oldest can you'll pick up? How many months back? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, for me, I'm rotating out so much fresh stuff that, anything over 2 months, it doesn't really make it to me. But if I'm like buying beer, it depends on the brewery, because some that I know that like really have a handle on their packaging process, maybe they do that in-house. They do it at a higher level. I'm more apt to take on something that's 3+ months old, but I'd say good rule of thumb, 3 months or fresher is going to be the way to go. Yeah, I think if you can get your hands on a can within the first couple weeks, and have all of those beers drank within that 3-month time period, I think you're going to be in good shape no matter where you go. Yeah, says I'll have to make my way to ESBC. Yes, definitely recommend El Segundo. And if you're going out there, I recommend going to the Slice and Pint. It's their pizza restaurant right around the corner from the brewery. Amazing pizza, and you can get all the El Segundo beers there. So definitely do that if you're going out there, or they ship straight to your door all throughout California, which is super fucking cool. LB Brew Dude says, is ESBC still Brew 2.5 left? I believe that they do. I could be wrong, but I believe it's part of the same series that the 105 is part of. They call it their Blue Plate series, and I believe it comes out once a year, but it's escaping me exactly what time of year that is. Yeah, Hop Tanker is dope. That's, I think, early summer when they usually put that out. In Bombers too, which is super fun. Yaya's had 2 Heady Toppers and a Focal Banger sitting for 3+ months now. Yeah, I'd get to them. When I got Heady and Focal Banger, I held on to some of my cans for 3-ish months, and they were still amazing at that point. So you're in good shape. I would get to them pretty soon though. So yeah, this is Hard Maybe that I'm sipping on right now. This is I'm gonna put it in air quotes, Hazy IPA. Does not drink like a hazy IPA whatsoever, but is extremely delicious. The only thing hazy about this beer is what it looks like. But yeah, drinks nice, bright, fresh, and a little piney too. Pello Man in the house. What's going on, buddy? Yeah, LB Brew Dude. The ESBC 22-ounce bombers are always fun. I like Surfing Bird. Surfing Bird's a really good one that they put out in Bombers. Although with their collab that's coming out with Pizza Port next week, I'm wondering if that means that Surfing Bird is no more. I don't know. But they have a hazy West Coast, or a West Coast hazy, I think. And they're calling it like a new school, old school. Maybe it's just like pure West Coast. But they're putting out a double release, one at El Segundo, one at Pizza Port, and they're coming out next week. And then now we are headed into the stars of the show, the ones I've been waiting for. First up, Visit El Segundo. This is a double IPA as part of El Segundo Brewery's postcard series. It's a 7.7%. So actually, it's interesting. They call it a double IPA, but it came in at 7.7, which in my book puts it firmly in single IPA category. Whatever the case may be, I don't really care, but I do really like the artwork on this. I know they have an artist out of, I think, Australia or New Zealand that's doing all these beers for them as part of this series. And this is the lead up to their 10-year anniversary triple IPA release in May, I believe. So let's see, what do we know about this beer? %, Vic's Secret and Simcoe. Cool. Let's do this. Comment in, let me know if you've tried this. I feel like Pello Man's tried every beer, so I'll just assume you've had this one. Because this is a beer that's a little bit older. Like, we're talking about age of cans and things like that. I'm spilling everywhere. Let me pour the beer first. I have beer all over me. Okay. It's 312. So this is a little over a month old. Which, like I'm saying, like for me, a little over a month is kind of on the older side of the beers that I drink. But I have to always remind myself, like, a month old is like not a big deal. Like that is not an old beer. That is a very drinkable, still fresh, delicious beer. And it's just like everything I drink is so much newer and fresher that I get into a weird mindset. So I always have to remind myself, Conrad, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. So yeah, we have Visit El Segundo. This is the first release in the postcard series, and we're seeing a very like bright, pale yellow body. Actually, this is for a West Coast IPA. I feel like this body is like extremely like bright yellow, and it is not clear. I mean, there's like a chill haze to it, but yeah, it's not totally translucent. Got a nice nose on it. Kind of like kiwi. It's got like this tropical nose, but in like almost like an earthy type of way. Yeah, like kiwi, pineapple, orange. Whew. Almost inhaled the beer. Yeah, there's a sweetness to it. Kind of like that overripe orange. Like the orange is just like almost like orange candy, like that orange jelly candy. Yeah, so there's a sweetness on this beer that makes me think of beers that are a little bit bigger than this one. Beers that, you know, that are up in like the 8+% range. I'm gonna turn my light down, it's blinding me. All right. Yeah, let's give this a whirl. This is like a very interesting nose that I can't really put my finger on. I like it, but it reminds me of beers that I don't like as much. So I'm like, am I gonna like it or not? Yeah, but it's got this like orange marmalade type of nose. It's like, it's bright and delicious. It doesn't smell artificial. It smells like fresh, bright orange marmalade. And it drinks relatively dry compared to that nose, like where I thought that we were going to be getting kind of something a little bit bigger in sweetness. This beer drink's actually much drier than I expected. Art Darris in the house. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Robert Gamer's drinking that 8-Bit Brewing sour IPA. You know, I was kind of big on 8-Bit for a while, and then I feel like I don't live out there, but I feel like everything I see that comes out is like either sour IPA or like a hazy IPA, and like their West Coast, they had that True Brewmance West Coast IPA that they were like really known for, and that beer never comes out here, so I don't ever drink their beers, unfortunately. But I dig what they used to do, and maybe I still do. I just haven't had them in a while. LB Brew Dude on that ambience music. Yeah, I like this song. This playlist I do basically every week, and this song like comes on from time to time, and I really like this one. What, Art Darris, what are you drinking, man? All right, so this is El Segundo. Visit El Segundo postcard series. IPA, double IPA, West Coast style. But yeah, really nice, bright, dry drinking beer. B. Einhorn with the question. That is the question right now. I think everybody probably has their spots. As someone that lives in the Valley, I'll tell you that there's a handful that I personally like a lot, and I'll throw out the Bottle Shop in Sylmar. I'll throw out Handy Market in Burbank. I'll throw out Valley Beverage Company in Sherman Oaks. I'll throw out Mission Wine and Spirits in Woodland Hills. And I know we got a couple Valley people in the chat right now, so if you have anything to add to that list, I'm probably forgetting some. I know there's a couple Vendomes here in the Valley that are pretty decent. Yeah, for Valley, I mean, I technically put Glendale Tap in the Valley, but they're kind of like really on the border, not really. But they're close enough that I'd put them on the list. That's my number one. So, yeah, take your pick depending on where you're at. I think if you're in that northern part of the Valley, like that Woodland Hills area, like that spot's good. And then if you get on the freeway and go up to Bottle and Pint in Newbury Park, they get a lot of great beer, and they're getting beer from like further up north that some of these other bottle shops down here aren't getting. So definitely take a look at that. So yeah, this is Visit El Segundo postcard series, delicious beer, really good stuff. Highly recommend. I was a little like I was saying, you know, once a beer gets over a month old, I'm kind of like, oh shit, is it still as good as it was? Yes, this beer is delicious. Really like this beer a lot. Glad I waited to try it for this video, but I'm also like, damn, I could have been drinking these beers. I've had them for a few weeks now. I could have been drinking these beers the whole time. Damn it. Super good. Gets me really excited for what El Segundo has in store for the Pizza Port collab coming out next week, the third release in postcard series coming out the week after that, and then the anniversary release coming out next month. So we are going to move on to the final beer in the tasting. And I just saw my boy curating beer. Andrew, what's going on, buddy? I miss you. Art Darris drinking that Homage Hoppy Table beer. Yeah, that's a great series that they do. Which one are you drinking? Is the last one they did Simcoe? I think it was. That's a great series that they do. So we are going to move into the final beer in the tasting. This is the S-Pipe from El Segundo. This is number 2 in the postcard series, 8.8%. And we are dealing with a beer that's hopped with Galaxy, Citra, and Amarillo. Conrad, Hop Merchants, how could I forget? Hop Merch is doing great. And they just got that new fridge, so they're going to be carrying even more stuff. Very cool. All right, let's try this beer. The S-Pipe, affectionately named after some like surfing area in El Segundo, locals only. So if you try and surf it, you'll probably get your ass kicked. A beer that pours much more clear and bright, a lot more clarity than the last beer. Maybe that's age, maybe that's something else. I don't really know, but this has the look of a hazy IPA a West Coast IPA. This has the look of a West Coast IPA 100%. Yeah, really nice, kind of like foamy, like soapy head. Really like that as well. It's got, like, in terms of like West Coast IPA, West Coast double IPA aesthetics, I'm digging it. And also for a double IPA, really light body. Like that SRM is really low. You're getting like a really kind of light, bright yellow that looks really nice. Makes me think that in terms of like the malt backbone is going to be kind of dialed back for a beer at 8.8%. We shall see how it plays out on the nose. Again, getting a little bit of OG, honestly. Maybe not a little bit, a lot. A little onion, garlic, kind of savory. Coming through, like right behind that is like orange peel, orange pith. Probably from the Amarillo. But yeah, I'm getting kind of like this oniony thing going on. So we have Galaxy, Citra, Amarillo. Yeah, none of those that I really tend to think bring a big OG component to it. So maybe that's just something I'm getting in a weird way on a personal level, but there's like a little pineapple too, but this is like got like an earthy nose. Interesting stuff. It definitely has like this like firm orange, like sweet orange on the back end of this. Yeah, very interesting nose. Not terrible, not totally, it's not totally stoking me up on this beer, but let's give it a try and see what comes down. I actually really like this a lot. So everything that I was getting on the nose is not here in the taste of the beer at all. Really nice light malt body. Not really getting any sweetness on this beer. Like at 8.8%, no alcohol, no sweetness. I don't want to say no. It's not in your face. It's balanced really well. And you're getting really nice citrus. Again, big orange on this. But like also getting like a nice mixed berry type of thing going on. Like a little blueberry, a little raspberry, a little strawberry. And I'm pretty sensitive to this, is that like underripe pineapple, like the harder part of the pineapple, not super soft and juicy and syrupy, but more like that kind of like outer edge of the rind, of the pineapple rind, that gives you like a little bit of that pineapple flavor, but like isn't super in your face. Getting that also on this beer, which is really nice too. Very drinkable. I'll just go out and say it right now. Favorite beer of the tasting, 100%. Really nice beer. That nose threw me the fuck off, though. That was an interesting nose. And I'll see if it, after I've tasted it, and I'll jump into the nose again and see like if that's coming through again. Leastagram, what's going on, man? Good to see you. It's been a long time. Yeah, now that I've like actually drank the beer, going back into the nose, I'm not getting as much of that like earthy, oniony thing going on. It's definitely still there, but it's not as present. Now that like the beer's actually like in my mouth and coated my throat and it's like in my system, my palate or my senses are just like not as receptive to it and not as sensitive to it. It's still there a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely better. Like this, the aroma is definitely more appealing now that I've actually had it and I'm used to it. Yeah, this is a fantastic beer. Wow. I like how the last beer, the tasting just like really came through and blew me away. This is the S-Pipe Double IPA, 8.8% from El Segundo Brewing. The latest in their postcard series release, which is kind of like their fun anniversary lead up. 4 releases that ends with a triple IPA for their 10-year anniversary. Crazy. So yeah, definitely if you haven't checked out the S-Pipe yet, I would highly recommend picking this up. This came out last week, I think. Let's see. I didn't even talk about that. 4/7. So yeah, about a week ago. I think last Wednesday. So yeah, relatively fresh here. I mean, just a little over a week old. I need to figure out how I talk about time and freshness on a beer, because I'm like relatively fresh. A beer that's like 10 days old. That's stupid. So anyways, this is a great beer. Definitely recommend getting your hands on it. Art Darris asked, did you hit double dry hop Citra yet? Yes, you missed it. That was beer number 1 in the tasting. I can't save a 5.5% pale ale for this late in the tasting. It just won't come through. I did fill up a water. I left it inside to kind of reset my palate, but I will give it another swish just for you. So this is Citra, the double dry hop version of Citra. Super fun beer. Really like this a lot. And I feel like after having all of these beers, especially these bigger double IPAs, I'm really not going to get the experience that this beer truly deserves. It was a great way to start this tasting though. For beer number 1, it was like the perfect start. Yeah, I mean, now that it's warmed up a lot, like it's kind of opened up. The aroma's like a lot bigger. It was big in the beginning, but it's even bigger now. But just like really nice tropical, or not it's definitely tropical, but like I almost want to lean more into orange grapefruit, but like not fresh orange grapefruit, like candied. There's like a sweetness to this. Yeah, this is interesting how this changed from 1 hour ago basically. So very interesting. Delicious still. Really, really delicious. Yeah, it's a great beer. It's got a touch of sweetness on it, but it's mostly kind of like tropical hop sweetness. The malt body on this like gives you just like a kiss of like malt sweetness, but really not much there. You can see how light that is, and at 5.5%, like there's not a lot that you're getting from like a malt body perspective. That double dry hop is delicious. They really, really well executed. Not over the top, really exactly right where it needs to be. Like I was saying when I first tried this earlier in the tasting, I wish I had the regular Citra Pale Ale, so I could do a side by side, because I think that's where it's going to really shine for like people that are like regular drinkers of that beer, to see how they feel about something like this, because it brings to you a lot of the aromas and flavors that an IPA does. But it balances out super well with like a lighter body, lower ABV, just a smaller experience. And that dry hop doesn't push it over the edge. It keeps it all really, really well restrained in that like small pale ale in that limitation. And they do like a really good job with that. So yeah, that's it for this tasting. This is 6 different beers over 1 hour. Good thing I didn't drink all of them, right? But I have to think about like which beers I'm gonna have the full one. It's definitely gonna be this S-Pipe here, winner of the tasting for sure. Get your hands on this if you haven't. Delicious, delicious beer. Keep an eye out for more El Segundo releases. Collab with Pizza Port hitting next week. 3rd in the postcard series hitting the week after, and the triple IPA anniversary release hitting next month. El Segundo just keeps doing a great job. Robert Gamer asks, what brewery are you trying next week? Good question. I don't know yet. I'm still figuring it out. So the one thing that I'm really intrigued by is the cold IPA trend. I'm not sure how many of you guys have been following this. Started by Wayfinder up in the Portland area. And there was a cold IPA released by Lincoln Beer Company in Burbank a couple weeks back. And so I have one of those, and I feel like I haven't really given them a look in a long time. So they might be on the docket for next week, but I'm not going to commit because who knows what's going to happen. LB Brew Dude probably knows what I'm talking about and is just messing around, but yeah, I mean, essentially it's a rebranded IPL. But nobody makes IPL and nobody really likes IPL, so they had to rebrand it and figure out, like, how do we get people to actually drink this and buy it. So I haven't had the Wayfinder one and I haven't had this one, so I thought it might be interesting to try it on camera and talk a little bit about what that trend is trying to do and that whole concept. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I am going to check on Blurred Lines for you guys and really for myself, but I'll let you guys know about that. I am going to try Danny Says No Hazy Pale Ale again on a different day and see if that hits me in any different way. But yeah, thank you so much, all you guys, for tuning in. Einhorn, good call on that Day One Song IPL from Brewery West. Haven't tried it, really like to. But yeah, maybe next week I just do IPL, cold IPA, a lineup of different breweries. I don't even know how many of those I can even get. Those are the only two that come to mind off the top of my head. But anyways, enjoy your Friday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Drink good beer, drink indie, drink local. See you next week. Peace out.